Hey, everybody, welcome back to the show. Super excited today. Today's guest is Jack Lambert, CEO of FlyHouse, the aviation company redefining what it means to fly private. With over 20 years in the industry, Jack's built and led companies that prioritize transparency, innovation, and trust. FlyHouse promises you can book a private flight in the time it takes to order a coffee. But the real story is how Jack is transforming the luxury travel industry into something much bigger: freedom, access, and a life well lived. Jack, welcome to the show.
Welcome, Kip. Appreciate the time this morning.
No, awesome. Super excited. Well, yeah, let's just kind of dig right in. I mean, you've been in this industry for more than 2 decades, from operating to founding your own companies. Where did you find your passion for aviation and entrepreneurship? Where did that all begin for you?
Well, funny story. I think it found me.
Huh.
I couldn't hit a baseball for power. I had 49 hits my senior year of college, and 34 were bunts. So I wasn't playing pro baseball, and just got an opportunity to get into aviation. And in the early 2000s, actually it was 2000 in Boston, at a startup that was called eBiz Jets. And ironically, obviously it was a tech, somewhat of a tech company back then, that kind of redefined how aviation used private jets. And the purpose of that was to do a travel, like a prepaid debit card, and then you put down $100,000 on a debit card and you can fly private. And then it did that for a couple of years. Then went worked for a couple of operators, kind of building the fleet. And one thing that was missing back then, obviously, was the real technology to actually connect the players. So what I did, the technology was in my head. So I had 2 cell phones, 17 email addresses, and I'm moving and shaking. And obviously, if you had the technology, then obviously you could do it instantaneously.
Sure.
So in 2005, I started my own company, Jet Access Group, and built that up to a large brokerage. And then realized that, hey, you know what? At some point, I need airplanes. You can have all the asses you want, but if you don't have the seats, it's very difficult. And I say seats, planes that you can control, and move around the country. So bought a company in 2011, got it wrapped up by 2012, and then built it up to the top 10 largest operator in the country by 2019, and sold
Wow.
it. Yeah, and then the principal of or founder of FlyHouse called and said, "Hey, would you want to come help build this in 2023?" And yeah, so I kind of revigorized the passion for aviation and what I'd previously done.
Yeah, that's awesome. How about you kind of touched on this? I mean, you've built several ventures in the industry, and the industry is really kind of known for, as you said, like exclusivity and there's complexity. But what, personal experiences shape your vision for like Flyhouse, like democratizing private aviation?
Well, listen, I think it just comes down to some basic stuff, right? I mean, it's about relationships. It's about doing things right. Um, you know, basically, doing what you say you're going to do. We always laugh and say, "Hey, we're in the yes business. Say yes, and then find a way to get it done."
Right. Yes.
And a lot of folks are tentative to say yes. Well, I don't know, maybe. And so I learned early on, you got to stop the phone from ringing. So when you get that call, you say yes, and then figure out a way to get it done.
Hmm.
And so that was kind of the baseline of kind of how success has been for me, is starting off just that. So once you say yes, then obviously you got to have the relationships to make stuff happen. Um, and obviously before technology, the relationships was even more key because you had to have the relationships to move those airplanes. And
Sure.
if you didn't have the transparency and the honesty and the integrity, then you couldn't move airplanes without putting credit cards down. I always say, you and I could fly around the world because we had the relationships, and I didn't have to put a dollar down.
Yeah.
That means something when you're able to do that. So, the integrity, the philosophy of just doing things right, and then obviously just getting shit done.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And then just that saying yes, and that's such an entrepreneur. That is entrepreneurship. Just say yes and then figure out how to make it happen.
Figure out how to get it done.
Yeah. How about FlyHouse's promise is bold, as I said when we started here. I mean, book a private flight in the time it takes to order a coffee. What operational, cultural changes, things have you had to put in place internally to like actually deliver on that level of simplicity for the end user?
Yeah. So the big thing the biggest thing is culture, right? You can't do anything, and obviously we're disrupting an industry that's we always say it's mirrored in the past. And I mean, there's not a lot of things you can do inside of booking the time that it takes to book a coffee. But you got to have the people behind you. I mean, you can have all the technology in the world, but you got to have a group of people to be able to put it together. So, the job has been very tough over the last 2.5 years to really build that team. I always look at it like a head coach, right? You say, hey, Kip, you're great on offense, but you're terrible on defense. So we're going to keep you on the offensive side. Or the opposite. Hey, you can catch balls. You're not throwing balls. And so finding the proper team members, put them in the right position on that field so they can be successful. If they're successful, then obviously it transforms it to the company. But it's not a small task. And then you have to obviously build that technology to be able to do that. But then it comes down to changing the behaviors of how people have operated for years. Hey, we've done it this way forever. And changing that narrative is very difficult. So culture, obviously getting the right people, being engaged every day with those people. I mean, those are, we always say you're going to war with your boys and girls. I mean, that's what you've got to do. And you play sports, so you know the narrative. You've seen the movie, and that's been the biggest key. And then I think all the other dominoes fall into place. Once you set that table, it's made it much easier. But the technology's got to work, right? I mean, you can say you're disrupting, but if some of the pieces of the puzzle don't align, then you got to go back and kind of readjust. And that's one of the things that we've really, I think, done very well is kind of adjust. We've called audibles, right? It's like, hey, we've got this play, we're going this direction, but all of a sudden, nope, the play's going to go to the left now. And so being able to adjust on the fly, but you got to have the right people to do that.
Right. So how would you describe the FlyHouse culture? What is the culture you're trying to intentionally create and foster?
Well, I mean, I think it's doing something that's never been done before. We always, in bringing some of these people in that we brought in, it's like, leave the ego at the door. Yeah. A lot of these people have been successful in their own business. They're entrepreneurs, and we've all gotten in a room and said, hey, we get one shot at this. And I think that really, when you can sit in a room with other entrepreneurs that have built businesses, and we're all sitting around the same table, and we're all talking the same language, same lingo, doing for one purpose, trying to disrupt an industry that's, stuck in the past. For us to be a part of something, and we all look at each other and go, yep, we're doing something special. I mean, you can't buy that. You know that.
Yeah.
You just can't buy that. And I think that's what the rewarding part is, to see that we have people that care and that want to make a difference and change something. At the end of the day, it's not about FlyHouse. This is about changing an industry that, as we said, is stuck in the past.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, I mean, this industry has resisted change. What have been some of the toughest barriers in breaking through that old guard mentality, and how have you overcome them?
Yeah. So the biggest is you can have all the asses in the world. And we talk about this all the time. If you don't have the seats to be able to put those asses in, and I say asses as butts, if you don't have that, then the model doesn't work. So, in a previous life, my whole job was to go out and find seats. Well, that requires to have a relationship, and getting the best person in the country to be able to manage those relationships. We went and got that best person. So, okay, perfect. So now that's one stop. Then you got to go get the best person to go put the butts in the seats. Great. Then you got to get the best person to get the technology to connect the two. Great. We have the best co-CTOs in the country. Then you got to say, okay, as part of our safety, service, transparency, I got to go get the best safety guy. We went and got the best safety guy. And so being able to kind of, go down each of those lanes and attack and get the best people, then it comes into culture and it just makes everything work at that point. And, safety, service, transparency is what we live and die by.
Yeah. Oh, very good. And it seems that FlyHouse's model goes beyond the jets, and you're talking about experiences, Michelin star dining, front row events, VIP access. How did you evolve aviation to like a lifestyle platform more than just transportation and planes?
Yeah. So it's funny. People ask, what are you guys? I said, well, it's not even about aviation. The technology connects parts of the aviation. But what is lost is the entire experience. I always use the example. Go to Chick-fil-A. I love Chick-fil-A from Atlanta.
Yes.
You go to Chick-fil-A. You have it's 7 a.m. and you have the 10 employees that work there tell you what a great day it is. Glad to see you this morning. By the way, it's Saturday. We're closed tomorrow, but we'll see you on Monday. I just spent $12. Why is it that I go spend $40,000 on a private jet and it's just, hey, Kip, here's your invoice?
Yeah.
Yes. So and that's just one part of it. So then it becomes more about the experience off the airplane. How did you get to the airplane? What was that process like? How did you get off the airplane? People always worry about it's just about the caviar and the champagne on the airplane, but that's real bubbly, right? That's like that's just not really what aviation is about. You're spending $40,000 for an experience.
Yes.
You're going point A to point B, but you had to get to point A and you had to leave from point B. And then obviously you got the nuances in between. So, it's about the experience. And, if we can eliminate a lot of the phone calling, if you're heading to, a football game and, Viking game, right? So you're going to a Viking game and you say, 2 hours prior, your phone pops up and the Ticketmaster app pops up and says, hey, you got the ticket. And you go, hey, honey, this is our seat. This is this is the gate we got to go to. This is where we pull in. This is where we're going to park. It's all on your phone. Now that's just for a football game. Yeah. Why is it so difficult for a private jet? Kip, you got to call Jack. Jack, where's my airplane? Then I got to call the FBO. So the FBO, the girl behind the FBO says, no, the plane's not there. Then you call back and say, Jack, where's my airplane? You're screaming, hollering, you're heading to the airport. Why can't you just go, hey, honey, our airplane just landed. Look, the catering's on board. We should hurry up. The door's open. It's ready for us. Like, then it becomes more about, it's like the gamification of, hey, let's meet our friends at the airport.
Yes.
And it makes it fun. Aviation hasn't been fun. It's, and that's because you're stuck in the past. And so being able to change that narrative is something that we're striving for every day.
Oh, that's incredible. It kind of leads to my next question. I mean, transparency has been like a cornerstone of FlyHouse, especially, through your like owner program in a business historically known for being just like as you've shown, just super opaque. How did you design transparency as a competitive advantage for FlyHouse?
Well, I mean, listen, there's all different types of models, right? I mean, there's back in the day, there was a model that as an owner or as an operator, I'm going to pay you, Kip, as an owner for your airplane. I'm going to pay you an hourly rate. That hourly rate is no matter how many hours those airplanes fly, I'm going to pay you an hourly rate per hour. That's it. And then I'm going to mark up as an operator. I'm going to mark it up over and above and beyond that. And then it came out and said, hey, we're going to give you a percentage of the profit, a percentage of gross revenue. So I'm going to book $100,000. I'm going to give you $85,000. So then the owner's like, yes, okay, great. A little different, but it took a while to kind of get that changed. And then it was like, well, I'm just going to, and that was basically over the flight charges. So then different people have different ideas of how that model works. It's, $100,000. Well, I only had 70,000 in flight charges, so really I'm going to give you 85% of the 70,000. The 30,000 is minimums and all this stuff. So we said, how do we do something a little bit different, but being fully transparent? So one of our models is, and I say one of our models because we have owners that don't want to adapt to that today. We're not at scale, right? So when we get to scale, and by the way, our whole model is, how do we drive costs down? Yes,
Right.
we want to connect the user and the owner together. But then how do you do that? And so you can do that by scale, right? So, having 2,000 airplanes on the app form, on our app, we can drive the cost down. FlyHouse, as it sits today, has 23 airplanes.
Mm-hmm.
I go to a fuel company, go, hey, I'm FlyHouse over here. I got 23 airplanes, kind of a nobody. And by the way, 90% of the operators have less than 8 or 9 airplanes.
Uh-huh.
So they can't scale. They can't get to that point.
Yeah.
So FlyHouse parachutes in and says, hey, we're going to bring all of you together, create this ecosystem. Then we can actually go buy fuel cheaper. We can go do maintenance cheaper. We can get cheaper insurance because we got scale. And so that's kind of the model. But then going back to the management side, it's like, okay, because there is so resistance to change, we say, all right, hey, we're going to do an 80-20 revenue split over the entire thing. Book 100,000, we'll give you 80. But remember, in order to justify that 20%, which is higher than industry, but I'm not charging the management fee and I'm not marking up third-party parts. That's the transparency that has kind of seeped out of the industry. We're trying to seep it back in to be able to create that, full transparent ecosystem. Yeah, FlyHouse, we're not a .org. We're obviously wanting to make money. But as a vertical on the charter side, I can make a little money here. And then FlyHouse comes in and says, hey, in order to drive the cost down, now we've got an FBO. Now we've got a 145. Now we have a fuel farm. I can take a little bit off the top here and drive that cost down for the owner. As an owner, you're going to spend in 7, 8, 10 different areas.
Sure.
So if we can come in and actually say, hey, I can now drive the cost down in all those areas. Yeah, I'm going to make a little money. But that doesn't exist because people only focus on one area. And I think we always say, if you can get in the house, there's no reason to leave the house.
Uh-huh. No,
that's a long version of answering the question.
Yeah.
But, just being different in those areas, we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just creating technology to make this seamless and then connecting. So we're the connector. We're connecting all these little verticals and all these customers together, bringing them in as one.
Yeah. How about for our audience, which is primarily like CEOs, investors, founders, what are some lessons they can learn from building businesses that blend service, technology, and a luxury experience?
Well, I think you got to figure what the core values are, right? And our core values are safety, service, transparency.
Nice.
That's nothing new. It's just something that we are focused on. Some people are focused strictly on luxury or strictly on service. But we always say it's not safety on the airplane, right? I mean, there's safety within your employees. There's safety, financial safety. So when we say safety, that encompasses it's a big word because it encompasses everything that you do. We're so big, obviously, we talk about culture, but it's the culture of the people. So you got to keep them safe. The transparency. We're transparent. We give ownership to our employees. We give ownership to our customers. We give ownership to our owners. We have to be transparent, right? So I'm giving ownership to you, Kip. You have the ability to audit my books 4 times a year. So we're bringing actually our competitors on the management side. We're bringing them in closer, and we're giving them ownership because we believe that we can do something bigger, better together, as opposed to being these little mom and pops. Because there's a lot of big shops out there. Top 5 are big players. Well, what about the little guy that's got 3 airplanes and says, "Hey, I'm in the back of the class here, guys. I've got some airplanes." He can't market. He can't scale It's tough for him to have a safety officer because of that scale or lack thereof. So then he says, "Hey, I want to be part of the club." So we got the FlyHouse Club. I want to get in the house. I don't get in the house. So now they're coming to us going, "Hey, what can I do to get in the house? Hey, I do this really, really well. I see you guys do the marketing and sales. Hey, why don't I just give you my airplanes and we build this thing together?" Now he's got ownership. So that's, so I think you got to stick to your core principles, whatever they are. It just ours happen to be safety, service, transparency.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, you've partnered with some cultural powerhouses like ESPN, global brands that are aligning with FlyHouse's lifestyle ethos. What role does strategic partnerships play in building the FlyHouse brand and credibility and community?
Well, I think it plays a massive role, and it doesn't really matter what the brand is. You're aligning yourself. We always say we want apostles, right? We want people to preach FlyHouse, live and breathe it. When you have an icon like ESPN, and they're users of FlyHouse already, and then our brand ambassadors, guys like Justin Rose.
Yes.
I mean, as solid as you get Wayne Gretzky. We got Blake Griffin. And we've got some other, big names that are coming on, but being able to align with quality. And so, those folks are out telling everybody how good FlyHouse is. They're good stewards of FlyHouse. Being able to be aligned with those brands is huge.
Yeah. I mean, the New York Jets, and that was a pretty sweet thing.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, the green room at MetLife is now the FlyHouse green room. And so then it becomes less about football, right? So you go to the FlyHouse green room, then it's about the experience, which is the service side that we spoke about earlier, and being able to bring that together is, there's a football game. Man, I've been here 2 hours, and it's the mingling, it's the food, it's just the experience when you walk in. You wouldn't even know you're at a football game. So creating those little experiences, and that's what's kind of unique about being able to build this. Nobody's thought outside the house. Everybody's thinking about in the house. I got to do SEO, Google AdWords, and it's like, no, you can do that, but what are you delivering? You're delivering just an airplane. Hey, thank you. Talked about the Chick-fil-A example. You're just another wheel on the train, right? So now, how do you be different? This is a way for us to be different. It's creating those experiences.
Yeah.
We're talking to iHeartRadio, right? And you say the people spend a lot of money to go to these little concerts and these events.
For sure.
And the big thing with the app is now we have the friend share feature. So we're sitting at the country club and we can go, "Hey boys, you guys want to go play Bandon Dunes?" We literally can chop it up faster than we can book a ticket with an airline or a coffee, right? So we can all chop it up on our phones literally in 30 seconds. That's incredible. But go back to the iHeartRadio and creating these experiences. These kids are spending thousands of dollars for these tickets. Well, now all of a sudden the entire cheerleaders team can go to a concert and fly private and create this experience that you wouldn't normally get, certainly on an airline. But then elevate it to a different level that you're like, man, this is unbelievable. As opposed to, I just went to the concert.
Right. Maybe talk a little bit about the app. I mean, about the FlyHouse app, and just kind of whatever you want to share. It's unbelievable.
No. So I mean, literally, you can download it now. It's Apple and Android. But the key to it is, how do you solve it? And we talk about experience. Most people you would call, right? Hey, I'm gonna call Jack. Hey, Jack, I need a plane. Okay, what's the price? I'll get back to you. Then it takes a while. I got to get back to you. That could take 2 hours to 2 days. Depending on because I've got to get on approval. I've got to go through all this process. Well, with the app, literally you can get. And by the way, I'm giving you one option. In 2 hours or 2 days, I can give you 10 options in 30 seconds. That is wild.
Yes.
If you went right now and called 10 operators. This is how archaic and chaotic this industry is. I guarantee you probably wouldn't get but 6 on the phone. And the 6 on the phone would probably tell you, out of the 6, you might get a yes. 5 of them are going to tell you that I got to call you back. The time suck is insanity.
Yeah.
So, and what happens is when you call, and most people use a broker, all good.
Yep.
But that broker then is going to call other operators, and then the ones that are transparent, obviously, are the ones that have been successful.
Right.
The other ones are the ones that are not booking the plane, and they're waiting to the last minute, and that creates chaos. Mm-hmm. So now everybody in the country knows it Kip's flying tomorrow.
Yes,
and
right.
So you know that you're going to go to Aspen next weekend. So it's 7 days out, honey, we're going to Aspen. Well, you can book that flight on your phone, or you know that you're going somewhere Christmas time. You can go and book that flight on your phone right now. By the way, 30 seconds. We keep harping on because it's the efficiency, and that's what you're solving for. It's like then there's no headache. You're not going, oh my God, Jack didn't call me back. It's like, no, it's right here. And by the way, everybody at the country club, you can send them the flight stuff right now and say, hey, John, you want to go? You want to go this weekend? Hey, book your seat with on my airplane, and then you can chop it up however you want. Hey, the first 5 guys are paying 5. Hey, the last guy, sorry, you got to pay 6. Whatever it is.
Right.
So then it becomes a gamification with your buddies. And by the way, if your buddy don't pay, he ain't your buddy no more.
Right. Yeah. Right. No, that's great. How about, you built this hybrid model. It's part aviation, part hospitality, part tech platform. What advice would you give to leaders that are trying to scale something that's similarly, complex and multidimensional in their business?
Well, I go back to, you got to get the right people on your team. You can do, and we have these visions, and Sanford is a legend at being able to kind of change the game plan on a daily basis. Because you got to be able to think outside the box. We say think outside the house. And so it becomes so critical because you're going to spend more time trying to find the people when you're in it. Find the people before, and then build around those people. I think that's been the key, because we kind of inherited the company. And so we've kind of had to adapt and change along the way. Sure. And then we got real serious about, hey, this is our vision. This is what we're going to do. We've got to get to the next step. And we can't get to the next step if we don't have our offensive line, if we don't have the defense set up. And so we've had to say, all right, pause. Now let's look at our org chart and figure out, okay, let's create a newer org chart and go, okay, let's look at this from a 40,000 foot view and go, all right, hey, where are the players? Who are the players we need in what positions? And say, because we're going to go to Europe. And so our next thing is Brazil and Europe. And so we've already identified the folks in those locations and say, hey, you're going to go ramp that up. So it's literally one phone call. All right, it's go time in Europe. Now we're set up, as opposed to we're going to go to Europe. We build a house in Europe, and all of a sudden we're like, yep, who's going to run it? So being able to kind of get ahead of the game, you're going to be in Europe. We know we're going to Brazil. Let's go ahead and set, and it takes some time, which means you got to be a little patient.
Sure.
We're not patient people. We want it done yesterday. And so, but being able to think ahead. So I've had to kind of change my way of thinking of, all right, just calm down. We will get there tomorrow. Let's plan today for tomorrow, as opposed to getting to tomorrow and then figuring out, oh, now I'm on the ground. Now I got to figure it out. Proper planning is, there's some sort of saying proper planning means or leads to something, but being able to plan properly, get the right people in the right position to be able to make those plays.
Yeah. Oh, very good. This question may be premature, but I'll ask anyway. At its core, FlyHouse is about jets. It's about freedom, time, access. And when you look back on your journey so far, from jet access to FlyHouse, and this is the part that might be premature. I mean, what legacy do you hope to leave on the aviation industry? I know you're in disruptive, like go, go, go mode, but how do you want to
Yeah,
impact the
so
industry?
it's funny. So I was on a beach in Bahamas when I got the phone call to come and help build this,
Huh,
and I built a very successful, culturally driven aviation company previously in jet access, and I said, what is kind of my next play? And I literally had no game plan. I was just sitting there trying to figure that part out. And when this opportunity came, and obviously you had Sandy on your show, I believe,
yeah.
6 or 7 months ago. When he called, it literally kind of rang that bell in me and says, "Hey, we have an opportunity to change something that's never been done before." Um, I didn't have Sandy in my back pocket previously, and the board, the founders. I didn't have that. I was really a party of one at the
Sure.
table.
Yeah.
Now I literally have a full team behind me to be able to go and do something, and I had the ability to kind of build that team from scratch. And I did that before, but again, party of one. So
Yes.
now I have a full army behind me to help do something for me to kind of come out of the Bahamas, come out here and really change the way the industry is operated and the way you look at booking a private jet. I just thought, man, I want to be part of something much bigger than me. And
Yes.
this gave me that opportunity instantaneously.
Hmm.
So, I think from a legacy standpoint, being able to say, hey, we disrupted something.
Uh-huh.
We changed the landscape of aviation. I mean, you wouldn't have thought. I always give the example. Frank used to drive me. Well, I don't know where Frank is now because I'm booking an Uber or I'm booking a Black Lane on an app. You would never think you'd book a coffee and have it there by the time you get off the exit. I mean,
Right.
that's wild. But I think to the same token, because you didn't think about that, somebody else thought, hey, let's do this.
Mm-hmm.
Let's make it simpler. Let's make the process simpler, create a better experience. And I think just being a part of that and saying that you helped do that, you helped build a team that changed it was, I think it sealed the deal for me.
Yeah. You've done this before and you're doing it again with FlyHouse. I mean, building a company rooted in integrity, innovation, trust. How do you want FlyHouse to inspire future entrepreneurs, even beyond aviation?
Well, listen, I think you got to think outside the house, right? I mean,
Hmm.
you have to, um, if you can think that, hey, you can do anything you put your mind to. And I know it's kind of cliche-ish. Everybody talks about it. I remember sitting in the locker room and a former athlete came in and he was telling us that we can do this, this, and this. And I'm like, with what? I don't have any money. Um, so you just think, hey, if you can do it, but dream big, um, and put your mind to it. I always say you just can never give up. I was never the best athlete on the field, but by golly, nobody was going to work harder than me.
Yes.
And so I think put your head down, grind, work hard, and I think good things will happen. The other thing is you got to surround yourself with good people.
Hmm.
You got to have good people in the stable.
Yeah. Maybe can you just, I mean, you talked a lot about people and getting the right people on the bus, in the house, on the team. Maybe talk a little bit about your approach to like attracting and retaining high performance leaders, talent within FlyHouse. How do you find these people and bring them in?
Well, listen. I mean, if you look at resumes, I go down to the bottom. Did they play? Do they play sports?
Yes.
I mean, you are the automatic, and we talk about it a lot. It is so true. Athletes get it, and they're
Yes.
not. They understand the team atmosphere. It's not, hey, I'm the man, or I'm the girl here. It's me. It's like, okay, it's us. And I think changing that, you could tell in literally on a resume and 1 minute into that conversation if this is going to be a good culturally fit.
Yeah.
Um, and I always say, I'll teach you the 10%. I can't teach you the 90.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have the 90, and we all know being able to have that conversation, good or bad with people, being able
Right.
to communicate. I'm going to look you in the eye and say, hey, Kip, good to see you today. Like, follow up. Hey, I'm going to write you a note. Hey, Kip, great being on your show this week. Those little things are separators, because we're all doing the same stuff.
Right.
So how are you going to separate yourself from the other side? Athletic, what are your hobbies? What do you like to do? Are you socially awkward? We live in a world where you have to talk to people.
Right.
I tell everybody, I said, even the line guy in the hangar could be our best sales guy.
Yes.
The accounting. Hey, I'm just doing numbers. You're a salesperson. So being able to operate, you got to carry multiple hats. Can you juggle? And we're not talking juggling balls here. We're talking, can you juggle a couple things? Because, by the way, we're in a disruptor model. We're doing a bunch of, you're going to have darts. I mean, you know how this stuff works. And so you've got to this is hand-to-hand combat.
Yes.
And so, being able to attract the people, I think it's a little bit easier now, because now we have eyes on us.
Yeah.
I want to be a part of that.
Yep.
So now it's a little bit, so it's like, I see, I want to work hard. I want to, and it's obviously a lot of glamour. People think it's so glamorous. Kip, it's lonely at the top.
Right.
and so but I think, to that point, it's people now want to be a part of it. So that makes it easier, as opposed to now, before we've had to go and, go get the talent. And so you've had to go hunt, we're on the hunt for quality talent. Now the talent's coming to us.
Yeah.
And I think when you hit that mark, it's like, okay, now it's a little bit easier. We have a lot more to go through. But then you can go through and get it systematically by looking at, hey, is this person a good fit? Did they play sports? What do you like to do? It becomes less and less about, where you went to school, or it's like, what are you doing? What do you want to do? And listen, there's people that I've hired before that said, hey, I'm going to be with you for 3 years and I want my own business. Great. I'm going to teach you for the next 3 years how to build your own business.
Right.
And I have, 4 or 5 people that have worked for me previously. They've got great businesses now. But I knew going into it, they were going to be with me for a couple of years. Great point on that is we did a deal with Southwest Airlines. Crazy story. And the deal is they have about 600 to 700 pilots in their program to get to, the airline. But the people that they have now, the pilots, are just kind of sitting around. So they said, hey, FlyHouse, would you bring on some of our pilots? The deal is we will keep them for 2 years. So I don't have any turnover. So I have a person that's dedicated to us for 2 years. And at the end of the 2 years, if they want to go to Southwest, they can, or they want to stay with FlyHouse, they can. Great. But that decreases my cost to an owner, because now that pilot's going to stay with us. We've got 4 on our roster now, and they want to be FlyHouse for life.
That's fantastic.
So, but that partnership created that opportunity for them and for FlyHouse to say, hey, how do we bring them on? And now they don't want to leave.
That is great.
They're in the house.
In the house. How about leadership? I mean, how has your personal definition of leadership evolved or changed over time?
Yeah, I know we've gone back and forth on LinkedIn on the leadership stuff.
For sure.
I think you've got to be open to adapt. I think there was I had a way that I kind of ruled before, and it was my company. This is how I want it to be. And so now having a board and having people that are more intelligent than I am, that I've had to lean on and for advice. Because remember, before I didn't have anybody to talk to. It was just me. Yeah. Now it's like, okay, hey guys, what do you think about this? And so now this is not Jack's way, it's our way. And so I've had to adapt to that in this company, because it's not mine. I didn't build it from scratch. It's not my baby. I can make it that, but understand, hey, I've got a board and I have other people, and I have the ability now to hire smarter people than me in the room.
Yes.
And say, hey, what can we do together, as opposed to, no, this is what I want to do. This is how we're going to do it. This is Jack's way. And so, I've had to learn a lot of experience, a lot of things here now to be able to get to that point. I've had to, okay, I got you now,
Uh-huh. No, for sure. How any particular leadership lesson that you've learned that's become particularly valuable?
I think you got to do a lot of listening,
Hmm.
and less talking. I think before it was like, again, to that point earlier of it's my way. I think it's, hey, Kip, what do you think? What do you think we should do? And put the onus back on the employee to say, hey, you know, give you the autonomy. And I don't want to micromanage. And I learned early on that micromanage probably is not a good thing. If you hire people the right way at the beginning, and the right people for that position, give them the autonomy to make those decisions. Sometimes they're going to make some bad decisions.
Hmm.
They need to be able to learn themselves and to help build the company. We're not going to make the best decision every time, but giving them the autonomy to do that, that means you got to hire the right people from
Hmm.
jump. Hire self starters. Um,
Yes.
don't have to tell you that you need a raincoat when you walk outside. If you see it's raining, you need to get the raincoat,
Yes.
and umbrella. So I think being able to have the ability to get the people in the seat the first time, right? Then we don't have to micromanage. Then we all just sit around the table and go, hey, how can we do something different? How can we, and remember, we're disrupting. So this is not easy.
Yeah.
There's a lot of uneasy conversations being had. But again, take the ego out. We're all sitting in the room. We're all here together. Let's make the decision. It's not Jack's decision. It's our decision. But
Uh-huh.
everybody plays a big part in it. We have weekly ELT calls and SELT calls, executive leadership team, and then senior executive leadership team, and being able to give them the autonomy to, hey, they feel like they have a voice,
Hmm.
and they do. We're giving them the opportunity to help make decisions for the company, that changes, again, the entire landscape. So, I think that, giving these folks the autonomy to make decisions, less micromanaging, and then, having your weekly engagement meeting, staying engaged is probably, I would I would say, top two. You got to communicate with your people. They got to communicate with you. They got to feel that they can, right?
Yeah.
And you got to
Yes.
show them that they have a voice within your organization. And it's not just them. It trickles down to the line guy, to even the low associate on the sales associate, the assistant director of operations. Everybody has a voice, and so I think, keeping the team engaged. I'll tell you, I had a conversation with somebody one time. I said, "Hey, who's your best employee?" And the guy goes, "Jack, I've got 700 employees. No, 7,000 employees." He goes, "My number one employee." He goes, "I got two of them." He says, "All they do is send birthday cards to the employees and their families."
Huh.
And I'm like, "That's your best employee. That's your best employee." He goes, "That keeps them all together."
Yes.
So I was blown away. I said, man, so now we have chief people officer, and that's
Uh-huh.
all they do is just the customer and employee engagement.
That's
Um,
fantastic.
so that's, yeah, I think in being able to make those decisions, some companies, it's hard to see it, but it's like that, the money that you spend there it will go far, far and wide that you could ever imagine, just by, the handwritten note. Hey, everybody knows it's Kip's birthday today because the
Uh-huh.
email just went out at 8 o'clock in the morning. So, 8 o'clock in the morning, whose birthday is it today? Like, so then it becomes that gamification thing of, hey, what's going on? What email am I getting today?
Uh-huh.
Um, and the company newsletter comes out. So now everybody, oh, Kip, I didn't know you were a chef, you know? So,
Uh-huh.
people can see, hey, my name's Kip, and this is what I love doing. So now it's like, so now the joke is, Kip, when are you going to make me a birthday cake?
Yeah.
So you have those, and then that just creates, client or employee engagement.
That's fantastic. How about you touched on this? I mean, the benefits of now having people behind you, it's not just you, you have a board, but how is it going from being, the entrepreneurial, I am the guy doing this. Okay, now I got the resources and we got more minds and that's helpful. But Is it difficult now, like having the pressure or however you want to describe it, of having like a board that's asked, that's wants to know what you're doing and how you're doing it, and
Yeah,
how is
yeah. I
that
mean,
making that
I,
switch?
yeah. I mean, listen, you're always going to have pressure. It's just a different
Yeah,
type of pressure.
right.
I mean, it's the the. I would say that it's less pressure in the sense that when it's all on your back and you've put it all on your back.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm my hardest critic.
Hmm.
So like that's enough, but I don't have to do it all myself now, and I
Yeah.
think that's where I can lean on. I can lean on others, and I can. Actually, when I raise my hand in class, there's actually people that can see me, right?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm not just in the classroom alone.
Yeah.
So I think that's been key, and I think just listen. I've had an open mind, and I think that's helped. Um, and I was listen. I was excited about it.
Yeah.
It's hard when you're doing something by yourself. Now, when you know you have a team, it's like, okay. I mean, sometimes it's a hard lesson. I do wake up and say sometimes, yeah, this is not mine. I didn't, I would love to get credit that this is my thought, and ironically, how this thing started with FlyHouse is they said, hey, why don't you go have your meeting in the treehouse? Was kind of how it got started. So it's like you have your buddies and you go in the treehouse and you guys figure out how to build this company. That's actually how FlyHouse name came about. I wish I was in the treehouse.
Yeah.
I didn't get the invite that day, but I think putting that stamp on it that hey, I was a part of it to help build it certainly makes it easy, makes it fun. It's fun, but it's the hardest thing I've ever had to do, Kip.
Uh-huh.
It just was talking about it yesterday. I played 3 sports in college. I didn't have a life. It was hard, and I obviously maintained a good GPA, but this right here is hard.
Wow. What were your 3 sports in college?
Played football, baseball, and basketball.
Dang. That was
Yeah, and I mean I'll toot my horn on this one, but I'm in the Hall of Fame for all 3.
really,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
So
What position did you play in those 3 sports?
I was shooting guard in basketball, center field in baseball, and quarterback in football.
Dang. That's awesome, man.
But I mean I had no life, and I'm
Yeah,
looking
right.
now, and I'm like, I got a life now. I mean, it's
that's
just
awesome.
it's so hard. But you think about you think about playing sports, and you going from. I remember going from basketball practice to. I mean, this is funny. This is a crazy story. So how it got started was I went there to play basketball. 2 days before my first game, I shattered my hand.
Oh.
So I'm depressed. I'm a sophomore, and I transferred in. So I'm in the training room. Center fielder comes in, breaks his ankle.
Huh.
And I'm like, well, I played center fielder all through high school and travel ball. So the coach is like, you can catch a ball? I go, yes, sir. He goes, all right, we're going to go outside right now. And if you miss a ball, you don't make the team. Crazy story. We go out literally in the parking lot. It's snowing. He hits me about 20 balls. I'm diving in the parking lot on the snow.
Yeah.
I don't miss a ball. He goes, you're on the team.
That's awesome.
So, but he never saw me hit.
Do you see a bunt?
Yeah, he didn't see me bunt. So, I have a great year. I'm in the locker room training in the summer. Quarterback comes in, tears his ACL. I'm like, you guys run the option? He said, yeah. And I said, well, shit, I ran the option in high school.
Oh my gosh.
So I called my basketball. I'm by the way, I'm captain of the basketball team already.
Oh,
so I call my coach and I go, hey, who happens to be an athletic director? I said, hey, do you mind if I play football? He says, you're captain. You have to make all the practices. He says, if you can do it, he says, I will make sure the practices align with your football schedule, but you can't miss a basketball practice. I won't miss it, coach. So I go on. I have no line. I have an arm, and I could run fast. But I was known for my arm. I didn't throw any passes. I ran for my life. I had more rushing yards than I did passing. That was just crazy. And so I played all 3, and I still have records today in all 3 sports. Crazy.
Dang, that's wild.
But it was just from injuries, and I just I got depressed. I obviously was sitting there. I went there to play basketball and
Yeah.
couldn't play. And so I wanted to play baseball. I was like, yeah, I can do it. And then I wanted to play football. I can do it. And so that's just how it happened. But I look back and I go, that's nothing compared to what I'm doing now.
Yeah. That is wild.
But listen, we're having fun. We're having fun doing it. And, we've got a good group of people, and that makes it so much better.
Yeah. How about looking back, any particular decision or action you would say that's been most pivotal to your success so far?
Oh, decisions or actions. I didn't take my first job at the beginning. Because the guy literally in the interview, quick interview, I think the guy asked me 4 questions. The last thing he told me was, hey, bring a pillow. You're going to spend the night here. I'm like, brother, I just played 3 sports in college. I don't think I'm going to – I want that 9 to 5 job, right? And I didn't take it at the beginning. And then there was an email went out, and A-Rod and Shaquille O'Neal were the company spokesman at the company. And I was like, oh, man, I got to go to this company now. So I had to eat crow and call this guy back and go, all right, I'm ready 3 months later. But I think – when I left a company and started my own, that was kind of the pivotal point.
Yep.
In that month, I had a baby, I built a house, and I started a new business. and I think I bought my first car in the same month in 2005.
Dang.
And I'm like, man. But taking that leap,
yeah,
I bet on myself that I can do this. And I think that was probably the best decision I could have made at the time. I look back, it was probably the best decision I ever made was say, hey, you got to bet on yourself.
Yeah.
The second decision is coming to FlyHouse.
Yeah.
I bet on myself. I was given the opportunity to do this. And so I would say those 2 decisions, starting Jet Access Group, crazy story. I tell it, I had 2 phones. I had 17 email addresses. Literally, I'm in the Target line checking out. I literally have this lady. I go, hey, can you just answer the phone? Thank you for calling Jet Access.
No way.
Yeah. So because people, it was just me.
Yes.
And so, but I had all these email addresses, and I just created the names of people I went to high school with. So people would call up and go, hey, Jack, is Julie there? And I go, oh, Julie had a baby. And the guy goes, Jack, Julie's had 3 babies this year. I'm just doing this. I'm doing whatever I could to build the company. And I created the company as Jet Access Group, not Aviation, because I wanted somebody to think it was much bigger or just Jet Access. It's like, no, it's a bunch of us. It was party of one. And so I'm emailing, I've got different email addresses, and that's how you built the ecosystem.
Yeah.
I remember, I'm at Outback, and they have this big table at Outback, and they have this little thing that turns, and I've got papers, and I'm literally calling, do you need that airplane? Great. Do you still have that airplane? Great. All right, we want to book it. And then I'm calling towers and going, hey, can you check with that airplane to see if they're going empty? And literally, I would drop airplanes out of the air and then literally go and give the guy a check, take a check from the customer. This is 25 years ago. You can't do any of that stuff now. But that was the level that I had to go to make stuff happen.
Yes.
And crazy story here. So this is the wildest story ever. And we talk about service, and you talk about your word. We always say, take your word to the bank. Guy calls up, says, hey, Jack, I've got a buddy. I need you to take care of him. Great. What do you need? So the guy books the flight. It was $59,700. I got a quote for $58,500. So I made $1,200 on the trip. Full transparency, I made $1,200. I had to pay the operator first, then had to get the money from the customer. It was just the way it was back then. Thank God I had a relationship with the operator, because they're like, yeah, you're good. You don't have to pay. So night before the trip, I asked the guy, hey, what do you want on your flight? Guy says, I want, just give me some snacks, water. He says, oh, yeah, by the way, I want the Wall Street Journal. Okay, no problem. All set. Call the crew. This is in 2005. Call the crew. I knew the crew. Called them, said, hey, can you guys get the Wall Street? Yeah, no problem. So morning of the flight, we talk about the phone calls that you have to make to do all this. I'm calling, hey, you guys got the catering. Did you get this? Did you get that? Hey, did you get the Wall Street Journal? Oh, Jack, no, we got the New York Times. We went to, I don't know what's going on, Jack. They had we went to 7 stores, couldn't get the Wall Street Journal. I said, oh, no, don't worry about it. All good. Guy does the flight. Back then, you couldn't text and you really couldn't do all that. So the next day he calls me. He said, Jack, he goes, I got to tell you. He says, and this guy, by the way, is on 790 airplanes. He said, Jack, that was the best flight I've ever had. He said, but I got to ask you something. Did you forget something? I said, no, sir. He goes, you sure about that? I go, oh, yeah. He goes, you didn't get the Wall Street Journal, did you? I said, no, sir. He said, did you tell me you could do that? I said, yes, sir. He said, did you call and tell me you couldn't do it? I go, no. He said, okay. He says, well, have a good day. The guy booked 100 flights between then and 2007, paid me for everyone, prepaid them, every one of them. He never paid me for this trip. Comes to Palm Beach, says, you want to go to dinner? I said, yes. Slides over an envelope. On the envelope, a check wrapped in a piece of paper that says, I hope you learned your lesson.
Wow.
I open it up. It's $90,000. I'm like,
what
in the world? He said, Jack, he says, I was never going to let you fail, but I want you to learn a really important lesson. If you tell me you can do something and you can't do it, just call and tell me you can do it.
Yes.
So I tell the story to my dad. My dad says, yeah, you would never call me and tell me you're going to be late past 10. He says, so now you learned your lesson. I'm like,
That's
literally almost
incredible.
lost my house. It was over $1,200 over a Wall Street Journal that I told a guy I would get him, and I didn't get it. It just goes to show you the level of service that is expected.
Yes.
Is more than what we can actually talk about. Like you can't talk about stuff like that. That's a hard lesson to learn.
Yes.
He happens to be one of my best friends today and a true mentor.
That's amazing.
But man, that was tough. That was tough. And I even told him, I said, I'm making $1,200. I don't care if you're making $20,000. He said, just tell me you can do it and then do it. So it just goes back to, when you're setting that company up and we talk about success. What does success look like? And it's being able to do and say and do what you say you're going to do, and the other stuff will come into play.
Wow, you may have just answered my next question there, which is, what advice would you give to young or aspiring entrepreneurs? And that might be the best lesson ever. But if there's any other pieces of wisdom other than that, you'd share to people.
Listen, we talk about the Lambert cheat code, and I'm actually working on it right now. It's very simple. You got to show up, right? So you can't do anything if you don't show up. We always say show up on time, right? So you want to show up on time. You got to be able to answer the phone or answer the email. It's just, if you're not, there's somebody it's like, we always say, and you played sports too, so there's somebody always out working.
Right.
It's 7:00 right now. There's somebody working out, running right now. So you got to show up on time. You got to do what you say you're going to do. You got to answer the phone, answer the email, and do it quickly. I remember a guy says, this is kind of a very rough lesson. The guy says, if you make a mistake flying, it doesn't look good. If you make a mistake in work, yeah, you can always pivot. But think about if you're flying, and everything that you do, think about, what if I was flying and I made this mistake?
Yes.
And it was like, man, it was pretty hard. And how he said it was pretty rough, but it makes sense. It's like, okay, I tell everybody every day, you could cost the company $50,000 if you misspell a word in an email. That's going to cost you more than $50,000. Obviously, it's exaggerated, but the point is, pay attention to details. The devil is in the details. I'll look at an email 3 or 4 times before I send it, just to make sure it's right. You get one shot with customers,
right?
And we've, I've seen a lot of the stuff that you do. It's we preach service. It's got to be service all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
And so the attention to detail. So that cheat code: show up, do what you say you're going to do, answer the phone, answer the email timely, And then you just get shit done.
Yes. So good. How about what future trends or opportunities are you seeing that you're most excited about? And then how you position yourself or FlyHouse to capitalize on those?
Well, I mean, listen, we just bought or in the process of acquiring Sun Air Jets. So that gives
Okay.
us the FBO, the fuel,
Yeah.
really solidifies FlyHouse in Southern California. So other opportunities are going to be other opportunities just like that around the country. And then our expansion into Brazil and Europe.
Yes.
Brazil, Europe, and Dubai are the three top
Okay.
markets outside of the U.S. And so we're going to go global. We don't want to just be in the states here, North America. There's an opportunity to expand globally, and then just obviously internal expansion, bringing on a chief industry officer, someone that can actually go and work with the governments on, because one of the big issues, Kip, is if I'm flying with Kip Aviation and then I'm flying on Lambert Aviation, doesn't matter. We have the same type of airplane. If I'm a pilot that flies for you, I have to go to training. If I want to go fly with Jack and do a 135 charter flight, I have to go and go to training again on Jack's certificate.
Okay.
So the cost, we talk about cost and driving costs down. That's a massive cost to an owner, dual training.
Yeah.
But what happens if your airplane goes down? You still have to pay for your pilot every day, every month. You got to pay for your pilot. Well, now I'm giving the opportunity to that pilot that he can go get other work somewhere else and take the burden off you.
Okay.
So, again, creating that ecosystem where we're all together, and having someone on your team that can actually go and fight for you, and then create these advisory boards. We have a FlyHouse Foundation, building those type of verticals up, to where we can go to the air shows and bring people, go to colleges and talk about aviation. How do we get people engaged in private jets and private aviation? And obviously we talk about the service, and because people think, oh, be in aviation, oh, you're a pilot. Well, no, there's so many things that you can do in aviation. That's not a pilot. You don't have to be a pilot. You can be a flight attendant. You can be maintenance. You can be operations. You can be a concierge. We have a VIP team. That's all they do is make sure that bagel is on the plane every single time. By the way, that bagel is $30 in private aviation.
Yeah. And the Wall Street Journal right next to it.
Oh yeah, make sure you get the Wall Street Journal. So being able to there's so many different things you can do in aviation, but in terms of our growth, that's the type of growth that we're going to go. And then obviously other partnerships with other brand ambassadors and other companies.
Yeah. Why? I mean, Europe, Dubai. Why Brazil? Why is that the South America?
It's they did a study, and there's 1,000 airplanes down in Brazil.
Okay.
So it's just a massive opportunity in South America. And then Germany, ironically, is number 2. And then obviously, as we know, Dubai. Yeah. I actually thought it would be the reverse. I actually thought it would be Dubai, the UAE, then Germany, and then Brazil. But just where the ducks fall. So we're looking at a partnership with TAM down in Brazil, and then setting up shop over in the UK. Awesome. It'll probably be in London.
Okay, very good. All destinations I'd love to go. Awesome.
Oh no, right?
All right, how about this?
We can go to all of them with FlyHouse.
Yeah, let's do it. All right, last question. Success for you personally. What's your definition of success? And you could take that any direction you want.
Well, I think part of it was seeing FlyHouse on television. Was a kind of a tipping point. I think was like, wow, it's like, man, we really got something. And that's kind of the mantra around the office, around the team is, we got something. And I think every day we wake up, we don't really know what we have. Some days, hey, we got something. But I think seeing that really put the stamp. I mean, you're at the MetLife Stadium and you see FlyHouse everywhere. FlyHouse is on TV. That was one measure, right? So we got that. And I think we said, hey, you know what? it's almost like that, the point where you say we've made it to the major leagues. I mean, we're
Yeah.
playing big ball now.
Uh-huh.
So that was one. I think this acquisition of Sun Air was probably the second biggest, because I think what it does, it solidifies that, hey, we're real. Yeah, I saw you on TV, but now you actually have a stake in the ground.
Uh-huh.
So I think being able to, once we get the signs on the hangers, and I think that'll boast that, hey, that is success for us. And then listen, I think the ultimate success is to build this up, scale it, and ultimately sell it.
Yeah.
But I think there's successes along the way. If you think, when you look at just the wins of what we've done this year, we bought a bank. We're the first aviation company that owns a bank. So I think setting up some of those little verticals, but I think, listen, success is when you have employees saying that, sending you a text message saying they're happy that they sold their business and came over.
Uh-huh.
I think that, really, that's probably number one. We talk about culture and people, right? I mean, people that have left their companies, sold them or left. You talk about the burden of that. I mean, you've got a lot of, now we've got 200 employees. That's 200 employees and families that rely on us as a board and us as a company to make that happen. That's a hard success, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got to you feel that burden, but being able to see the people that are happy being here, and I think success for them is the same, right? They see that, hey, their hard work is paying off, because there's nothing about this is easy. I mean, there's
Right.
nothing about it, and we talk about it every day, as part of our employee engagement, to say, hey, are you okay? Like, because it is hard, but you've got to lean on each other. That's why we have a team. We don't just talk about it; we live and breathe it. But listen, I mean, I think having FlyHouse everywhere. I mean, getting text messages saying FlyHouse is everywhere. I had a guy text me yesterday. He said, congrats on the Sun Air deal. I said, yeah. So he said, how you doing? I said, I'm tired. He says, I don't understand why you're tired. You guys are sponsoring everything that walks, floats, and flies.
That's the truth.
He says, I don't understand why you're tired. And I think a part of that is success, to be able to
Mhm.
have that text message to say, hey, you guys are everywhere. So it says, hey, we do have something.
Yeah. That's incredible. Well, Jack, this has been fantastic. I appreciate your time. And for our listeners, he started this at 6:30 a.m. out in California. So I appreciate you getting up early with us. But Jack Lambert, FlyHouse, thank you so much. This was fantastic.
Hey, no, I appreciate the time, Kip. I've been watching you for a while now, so I'm glad to be on here and help contribute any way I can.
No, for sure. Yeah. And we'll have in the show notes, the socials and stuff for you, for FlyHouse, so people can, get in contact. Of course, download the app and follow FlyHouse as you continue to take over the world. So thank you, Jack. Really appreciate you.
I appreciate it, buddy. Thank you.
For sure.
All right.